Hello, welcome to Guns and Yellow Ribbons Live. It's Wednesday, I think. I don't even know what day of the week, year, month, whatever it is. I think we're still in March. Yeah, I think we're still in March. No, we're not, are we? No,
No,
we're
it's
in
April
April.
the 1st.
Perfect.
Jeez,
Fool's
good
Day.
start.
I'm not starting that one. But yeah, here we are. We're in lockdown. I've got some friends and good friends and gooners on here with me. First, ladies first, obviously. Amanda, Gooner Girl 69, how are you?
Oh, is that way? I'm okay. It's my first day off because I don't work at the moment. I've been furloughed. So today's been interesting. I don't know what day it is. I have no clue. So
Okay. Rich, you're back?
Yeah, how you doing? All right. Keeping well, I hope, everyone.
Yes. Keep
most
it safe. That's the
important
main
thing.
thing.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Scunny, you okay, mate?
All good.
And Trev and Potsy, you good?
Yeah, all good.
Okay. Let me just
Decent, brother,
explain to
decent.
people. Sorry, Potsy. Let me just explain to people. I've been working from home for 4 weeks. I'm on a call center as a job at the minute. It's not my normal job, but the internet is really, really jumpy. So you might see we just drop in and drop out, and some of us will go off and come back on again. We will persevere the best we can to try and put this together. And we're hoping to be probably 45 minutes. Depends how. Well, if the debate before we click the live button, because we could be on here all night. So how's lockdown biting, people? We've had no football, no pubs, no nothing for weeks on weeks. We're all going stir crazy. But you mentioned the word furlonged, Amanda, a word that I had never heard in my life before until about 2 or 3 weeks ago. Furlonged is what employers are doing, where you get the 80% up to £2,500. The government subsidising your salary to a certain degree, and it's there to help businesses just to get through these difficult times when they're not generating cash, and it's there to try and make sure when they can't pay people who have been furloughed, when they can't pay their employees, they can pay them something. In a lot of cases, it's not enough. In some cases, it gets people by, but you know, we're not going to be out at the minute. We shouldn't be spending extra money and stuff like that. So, in theory, it should get people by. And I know it's going to be difficult for people, but the reason I bring up this topic, and I know you, Amanda, you're going through this, and you work for a smaller business sort of thing, but Premier League teams have now started furlough.
It's furloughed. There's no N in it. It's furloughed.
Furloughed.
You can tell until you're blue in the face, he'll still say it wrong.
The Irish Paul Merson, mate. The Irish Paul Merson is back.
Ding. They're starting to furlough their non-playing staff. Now, 3 teams to name to name in the Premier League is Tottenham, Newcastle, and Norwich. I do know of other teams that are doing this. None of it coming out yet, but I'm sure we will hear more and more of the non-playing staff being sent away. The tea lady, the groundsman, whatever. While all day long you've got the likes of Harry Kane, you've got the likes of Pookie, you get the like of all these other footballers who are on their full salaries, and it's going to be the same at other clubs. I've heard of stories where clubs have gone to they've gone to the players and said, "Look, we need you to take a pay cut," and it's absolutely ridiculous. They're turning it down. Trev, what do you think of the whole thing?
Oh, wasn't he supposed to accompany me, Fergus? Well, we don't know the whole story, do we?
He was having a kip.
We don't know the whole story, do we? You know, it's I don't necessarily. I would have hoped that with the amount of money in football, there was other options open to the clubs. But what are the players doing that we don't know about? Maybe they are donating here, donating there. We're not really sure, are we? It's early days yet, and there'll be a lot more come to the fore about what's happening in football, I would think, when this has all run its course. So who really knows what's going on? I'd hate to think that players that are earning so much money are not in some way contributing to assist what we're all going through at the moment, but as I say, who knows? It does just seem strange that the man at the bottom is the one that's getting publicised, aren't they? The casual workers, the people on the ground are the ones that are losing out at the moment. So who knows, mate? It'll all become clear over the next few months.
Amanda, you're obviously experiencing it, like loads and loads of people around the country are experiencing what it's like to be furloughed. What's your thoughts on the way the clubs are going about it?
Well, I don't think the government intended for a multi-million-pound club to furlough their staff, if I'm honest. I think it's for people... public, not for that. And don't get me started about the players, because they're not doing anything. And I'm sure that if someone's on 100 grand a week, they could live on 40 grand a week and start giving money back into the club. So the tea lady, the cleaner, the secretaries could get paid a proper wage. I'm disgusted. But as Trev said, we don't know what is actually going on. All I know is I didn't know Norwich. I'd heard about Tottenham and Newcastle today, and I could not believe it. I know there's no income for them coming in. I understand that it's finished as they know it. No one's even in their shops buying anything because the shops aren't open. So I understand all that. But you're telling me that Tottenham and the size of Newcastle are not able to pay their non-playing staff when they should be talking to the players and saying to the players, you need to take a reduction here. I put a tweet out, and it's quite interesting, actually. These players profess to love their clubs. Yeah, they always credit people around them that have helped them through everything. Everyone has their favourite dinner lady or a tea woman, or you know what I'm saying? Any person that works at the club. Yeah. We don't know, even a steward, anything. Yeah, you're telling me that they can't get by. I know not every player earns 100 grand a week, but I'm sorry, 50 grand a week come down to 20 grand a week. You're not doing anything. As you said, Fergus, all we're doing is sitting at home or going and ordering food or Amazon. There is nothing else we are doing at the moment, is there, apart from paying bills? No one's going out anywhere, and that's it. So what are the players doing? They're not doing anything. They're in lockdown like us. And I just, I'm really passionate about this.
The average player at Tottenham is on £70,000 a year. That's the average salary at Tottenham. I just saw it on the local news because they mentioned that just before while I was having dinner tonight. The average and okay, Norwich is not going to be as cash rich.
No, I understand that.
Tottenham made £68 million profit last year. Arsenal made a £27 million loss. Obviously, Champions League football and everything else makes a difference there. But Arsenal have got huge cash reserves. Obviously, we don't know what's happening at Arsenal, if they're considering that or what.
Well, they said they've come out and said they're paying their staff to the end of April. And I would hope that someone like Aubameyang and Lacazette and Xhaka would just give back, just give back to the people that deserve it, because some of these people at Arsenal on 80%, it's not a lot of money for them. No, it's not a lot of money for me, but at least I've not been laid off. So, I feel for them. I really do. I feel for all the clubs around the country. Sorry, all the staff that are now furloughed at football clubs, because they must be sitting there looking at the people they work with as such, earning 120 grand, just sitting there. So I don't know. Listen, as I said, as Trev said, we don't know what's going to happen.
I'd like to point
Richard, I think you're
going to say. Oh, sorry, go on, Richard. I was going to say something else, but
I was just going to say, Richard, you're up in the Newcastle area, aren't you? What's getting the local sort of radio and press about Newcastle?
Well, I mean, I don't think anyone's really surprised with Mike Ashley. He's a businessman at the end of the day. That's what he's about. So, the same with Sports Direct. Have done the same thing. So I don't think Newcastle is really that much of a surprise because of that reason. I mean, yes, I agree that they shouldn't be doing it. At the end of the day, I can't even get that because I made the mistake of starting a job in March. So I don't even qualify for that. So I'm basically without a job, without any income at all. And there's footballers sitting out there getting 100 grand a week. And the clubs who are, how much money they make from Sky and TV money and all that other kind of stuff as well, are paying full money to all the players. It's ridiculous. But, you know, I suppose it's the situation that we're in. It's unusual. You know, it's not something that we've had to experience before, is it? So we've all got to try and get through it, I suppose, as best that we can. But, I mean, the footballers themselves need to step in and do something, because it's ridiculous that an organisation like that, with that much income for the rest of the year, on a regular basis, constantly through every year, are having to go to a government grant to pay staff. It's just mental, really. Absolutely crazy.
You know what? That's the thing that gets me more than anything else. If they had to lay their staff off and continue paying them, and said they were going to pay them 80% out of their own coffers, that's fine. But they're taking a government subsidy. They're just abusing a loophole. I do know it's not just Premier League football clubs. I do know of other companies that are looking at and going, you know what? It's available to us. We can use it. But the thing with Premier League in particular, football clubs, especially the top end of it, that they have so much money about it. They, you know, and if the players aren't willing to take a sacrifice to protect the people who look after that club every day of the week, Nora the tea lady or whatever, the guy, you know, the fella who cleans the boots, whatever it be, whoever cleans the dressing room, they don't give a monkeys. And they just want their money. And we're meant to go week in, week out and cheer them and go, oh, we love whatever player you want to call, and oh, sing this guy's name, that guy's name. Mike, you were going to say something before I talked over you.
Yeah, you are right. I agree with Richard with Newcastle. I used to work for Mike Ashley, so I know exactly what he's all about. And I think he was caught in the news, wasn't he, by saying about he was trying to get Sports Direct employees classed as key workers. That's how low that guy can get.
Yeah.
So there's nothing there for Mike Ashley at all. But what I was going to say was, I think Juventus players have set the bar on that by taking. I know Cristiano Ronaldo and Darren Ramsey are one of them. They are taking a pay cut, so they're not getting paid for the next month or two, something like that. I'm not entirely sure on it, but I think they set the bar on that by saying they refuse to be paid for the next month or 2 months. So I think every player should at least do something towards that line. They've set the bar. Now, if any other player cannot do that, then I just don't think it's right.
It will show the class in clubs now, won't it? It will show the class in clubs and players. It really will. And I think that the rumours are that people have come out and said that they are going to take pay cuts. There's rumours that players have said they're not going to take pay cuts. It will really show now the class of the clubs, and that's all I've got to say on it, really. I think everyone else has said enough. Yeah.
I mean, football was losing... Sorry, go on, Fergus.
Go on, Amanda. Go on now. I was only going to say Barca players are taking 70% pay cut. It must be said, before you jump back in, Amanda, it must be said that there's players like Rashford and a lot of players out there doing a lot of good stuff for the local communities and their charities. And I do understand that some of these very high-paid players are probably supporting families all over the world and huge extended families and sending money home and stuff like that. But, you know, Rashford and his like need commending. Sorry, Amanda, go on.
No, all I was going to say was that we were all falling out of love a little bit with football at the moment anyway, with VAR and everything that was going on. If this doesn't add to it, where I don't know how it's going to work with our season ticket refunds, when the season's going to start, of course, it's really not important at the moment in the world where people are actually passing away from this virus. But if they're going to start putting their staff on government schemes, you know, words found, nothing fouls me about Mike Ashley, Mike. We all know what he's about, but I'm just shocked at the players' humanity. But as I said, we don't know what's going to come in the next few weeks. We don't know. Look at Juventus, which, as Mike said, I didn't know that. Barcelona, I did know about. You know, I'm sorry, these players, how much money's enough? Seriously, what do they need? Exactly. They could easily come down to 10 grand a week. Anyway.
But in all fairness, when you said about 20 grand a week, that's more than people get in pay a year.
Yeah.
So it's...
But you live within your means, though, don't you? So, like, if you've got Mesut Ozil on 350 grand a week, he might have to change his lifestyle drastically if he comes down to 10 grand a week.
Well, in what respect? I mean, you can only, he obviously owns his house. He can only eat so much food. I know he does do a lot for charity, probably back in his home country as well. I'm sorry, £350,000 a week now is not necessary. He's not going anywhere. He can't buy another car. He can't do anything. So I
think Potsy's got a point. I think you do. You live in a different world, don't you? They don't live in our world, so we can't imagine what it's like to earn 350 grand a week.
But Richard, my point is
that leaves us with. I mean, I agree. Anyone should be able to survive on a lot less than that. But when you've lived that lifestyle, you've had that money for that amount of time, then to lose, it's like anybody losing 3/4 of their wage. It's going to have a massive impact on your life, whatever that wage is and whatever the reduction is.
Sorry, but you're talking about lifestyle. We haven't got a lifestyle at the moment. We're not going out for dinner. We're not buying anything. We're not anywhere to go on holidays. Nothing.
Yeah, that's true. No, that's true.
So all we've got to worry about is paying our bills and eating food and paying for food. There's nothing else we need to do.
There is that argument as well. Sorry, Trev, I'm going to cut in on you quick, mate.
No, I agree with that, actually.
But there's also the fact is that these people have got agents. I'm sure they've got accountants. I'm sure they can work out between their accountants what their bills go. Well, basically their outgoings and incomings. And I'm sure they can sort something else for their outgoings, and as well as get a decent sized incoming coming in with their accountants to justify to maybe bring off the, to take some sort of pay cut. You've got to think about the staff around them as well. It's not, it's not the players that make the football club. It's everyone in the football club that makes it.
That's my point.
That comes down to that goes from the tea lady to the boot boy.
If you're going to look, Mike, if you're going to look at Arsenal, the first person to do that will be Bellerin. I guarantee it'll be Bellerin because he has got that humane side to him that. Yeah. And probably Ozil, weirdly. I really believe that he is like that as well. And Xhaka. So we do have those sort of players. I don't know about the others. I'm not saying they're not, that sort of way. But I just feel that Bellerin will definitely be number one with this,
Do they not also employ staff, though? Like they'll have cleaners, they'll have people that walk their dog for them, won't they? So that they'll actually employ people that they would still be wanting to pay, wouldn't they, as well?
They'll have debts to service, like they'll have debts to service, car repayments, and they will and house repayments, because most people, if they're sensible, if they've got money, they actually keep the money and use it in different vehicles to
Oh, he's going, isn't he?
Oh, he's gone.
He's going. Go on, Trev. I know you've been aching to say something.
Well, I haven't really. I've just been listening. It's.
I love Trev.
I've been listening to everything you've all said, and in fairness to you, all right, you're all making sense, right? You're all making sense. Firstly, going back to Ashley, Richard, Ashley, what's his name? Mike Ashley.
Hello.
If that paper that was doing.
Yeah, you're back.
You're back, mate.
Fergus, I'm talking. Shut up.
Yeah.
That paper that came out from Ashley, where he was telling these shops to raise their prices extortionately overnight. If that's true, and it may well not be true, that's the most despicable act I've seen so far in the whole of this. But I agree with what you say, all of you, about the players, right? But just remember what I said at the start. We can discuss it, but we all don't. And as you just said, Amanda, we don't know what they're doing, right? We don't know what the arrangements are, right? So we just need to be a little bit careful. If I find out at the end of this that all these players have been drawing all their money and not helping their clubs and helping the fans, helping their local communities, then I'll have a lot to say on it. Trust me, I will. But at the moment, we don't know. We can't be certain. So
Trev,
great debate, boys and girls.
How would that make you feel if your favorite player, your favorite Lacazette, number 9, whatever your favorite player is for Arsenal? I'm just using Arsenal because that's the club we support. It's not because they've said they've done anything or doing anything or anything like that. But if your favorite players out there, or that squad of players, didn't take some action to try and help the club and let the tea lady and stuff suffer, how would you feel? Could you turn up in Block 7 every Saturday at 3:00? Chances be a fine thing at 3:00 on a Saturday, but would you cheer that team on?
I think that they'd probably, knowing Arsenal as I do, we'd all turn up on whatever time the game was, but there would be ways that we would make our voices heard. You know, we've done it before and we'd do it again. They've tried to stop people going to Arsenal before. Nothing on this planet, apart from blowing up the football ground, will stop people going to watch their teams. Well, not the proper fans anyway. Nothing will ever stop them. It happens very, very rarely, doesn't it? I'm trying to think of an example of where games have been like that people haven't gone, but it's very rare. And they've tried it at Arsenal and it's not happened. And we would have to find other ways to make our feelings known. But I honestly can't get it in my head that any decent human being on, whether it be 50, 60, 100, 200, 300 grand a week, any responsible, decent human being, I know I would be digging somewhere to make a difference. You know what I mean? And I'm hoping that's the case. I really genuinely hoping that's
We'll find out, won't we? We'll see if who the classy ones are. That's what we'll do. We'll see.
Yeah.
And obviously, Amanda said, Bellerin, I agree. I think Bellerin has done some amazing stuff with the Grenfell staff and everything else that come out with him. So let's see who does it and who doesn't.
This is why I think that obviously the Barcelona players as well now taking the 70%. They're setting the bar they're setting the bar high, and I think everyone needs to sort of meet that type of standard, by taking a couple of weeks or even a month, 2 months. It's not going to make no difference to them at the end of the day. I'm sure they've got a bit of cash saved somewhere that can see them through this.
There's nothing to spend it on.
I know what you're saying. Yeah, that's why I understand what you were saying, Amanda, about it all. They are actually, I'm sure they've got cash set up. You can't blow 350 grand in a week. I suppose you could, but it's not at the minute you can't.
Not at the moment.
I think what we need to do is...
I've never been so rich, me. I've never had so much money in my pocket, not spending a penny. But you see, let me give an example, right? I get my pension every month. It ain't a lot, but I get me a bit of pension. And every month I have a direct debit come out of my account. 25 quid goes to a charity, right? Every month. I never make a noise about it, never tell anyone about it. But that makes me feel better, right? I know that I'm helping someone somewhere. So a lot of the time, if other charities come calling, unless it's a real serious emergency, I probably don't put my money in because I do my bit, and I can't afford to back everybody. So there might well be situations going on now where people are doing what I'm doing on a much larger scale, hopefully, fingers crossed, and helping people.
Yeah.
But I do, everyone's got their opinions. And I actually agree with all four sides of the story we've heard. So who knows, guys and girls, who knows?
Dan, you mentioned a topic that you wanted to talk about quite briefly because this keeps on dropping off for me. So we're going to try to probably shut it a little bit sooner than normal. But briefly, if you talk about the ambition of our squads, Cesc Fabregas touched on it, and you talked about this topic, and then we've got one slight topic that we're going to go through.
This thing just angered me. Like, I'm done with the attitude and the culture at this club. It's just frustrating. And over the years, say 10, 15 years now, we've seen the lack of recruitment, how poor it's been, the players we've missed out on. And Fabregas has come out and said that Xabi Alonso was pretty much a done deal, and they decided to keep Alex Song and Coquelin at the time, whoever it was. So I sit there now and I just think, how wrong was it? These fans, absolutely hate the Fabregas, the Sanchez, the Van Persies, the Nasris. They've all won something when they've left our club. How embarrassing is it to boo these players for going and winning trophies? That's the way I see it. Like, you can hate them all you want because they left our club. They're not loyal to Arsenal. They didn't come from North London. They're not Arsenal blokes, are they? So I sit there now and think they all went there because they turned around to our club and said, "What are you going to do in the summer?" And they said, "Nothing. We've got Almunia in goal. Thanks. We're good." So they went, "Well, I'm off then." So I don't see how we can sit there and get so frustrated with Cesc Fabregas and with Alexis Sanchez and these players when they said, "Well, I've done all I can for this club," and they don't have the same ambition as me. We had zero ambition, so we didn't keep them players. And these interviews are coming out and proving it. Sagner's now come out and said exactly the same thing. He's backed up Fabregas and said, "Yeah, that was true." You've got Nasri and Van Persie that were apparently the only two that were technically good enough and mentally strong in that side. Fabregas loses a game to Man City. Everyone goes out and gets pissed while he's waiting in his apartment crying because we've lost. These players don't care. They're weak. And what have we seen? They're weak again. These are the same players that messed up in Baku. These are the same players that lost to Olympiacos the other week. These are the same players that lost to the away goals to Monaco. These are the same players that were 4-0 up against Newcastle at St James's Park and messed it up. These are the same players from generation after generation after generation that lost 4 and 6 and 5 against Liverpool and Man City. These are the same players that learnt off of people that lost 8-2 to Old Trafford in Man United in 2012. When are we going to look at the mentality and the culture of these players? There is so many in that squad still now, in my opinion, that aren't mentally strong enough, and they proved it yet again on a Thursday night against Olympiacos. Watch Wolves if it ever continues. Watch Wolves; they would have gone through against Olympiacos. Why? Because they're mentally strong, and so are Sheffield United. That's why they're both ahead of us in the league, and it frustrates me because it's been happening for 15 years now. And these players all laugh and say, "Oh yeah, look at the fans booing Oxlade-Chamberlain when he comes back, booing Fabregas when he comes back." Man, grow up. They've all won stuff. We haven't. Ran over.
Amanda?
Well, really weirdly, the one time I ever met Wenger, I was at the Emirates. I was taken by another Twitter friend of mine to like a little press conference thing. It was really good. And I had the front seat right opposite Wenger, and it was the week that Fabregas had said, he wants to come back to the Premiership. And I did get to ask a few questions, and one of them was, I said, so when's Cesc coming back? And Wenger did his normal Wenger and literally just went, well, we do have a clause. We have the first, option to take him. I said, great, when you start. Yeah, first refusal. And that was true. I mean, that's what Wenger actually told me direct. And there's about 30 people in the room. And then I went, so when's he coming back then? Just like that. And he went, well, and he's a great politician, Wenger. That's all I'm going to say. And then when I listened to the podcast, what Dan's talking about this week, I was so upset about Xabi Alonso. I've never heard that story. So I didn't
love that
know.
player as well.
I know. And can you imagine him and Henry? God, I don't even want to go there. Right. So I love Cesc, but he did go on strike before he left us. So we have that as well, that, I don't respect that. But I also did say that I was chatting about this today, that we don't know what Cesc was promised and that we just don't know anything that goes on. We're only hearing what they want us to hear. So when he wanted to come back and he wanted to come back to us, it's upsetting. Absolutely. I would have had Fabregas back in a second. But when you listen, if you've listened to the whole podcast, it was so, he still says us and we, he feels so much love for Arsenal. But he had to go to Chelsea. He had no choice. Arsenal didn't want him. That's the end of it. I'm not saying the fans didn't want him. Arsenal didn't want him. So what do you want him to do? So when he kisses the badge at Chelsea, it is upsetting and people did get annoyed. But he is playing for another club now. He's got to show their fans that he cares. So he is a winner. I really respected the pod. I thought Arseblog did it brilliantly. I loved every second listening to it. And you could hear, if you did listen, that there was a lot of, he held back criticising Wenger and the club. Yeah. He did, because he wanted the players to come in. He is a professional. He's a proper professional footballer, Cesc, isn't he? And, he wanted to win. And when I heard that Alonso was begging to come to Arsenal, and these are Fabregas's words, not paper words, I was like, what the fuck? Seriously.
You know what? It's the same begging that Fabregas was to him. But we didn't need Fabregas because we had Mesut Bug-eyed Ozil at the time, who was apparently the same player. And we didn't need Xabi Alonso because we had Alex Song. What is going on?
Well, I like Ozil. I won't go into that. But Song and Alonso,
we found one.
Trev,
Ozil and Fabregas.
We're not going to be putting the comments up because they're taking quite a lot of bandwidth. But somebody's Heath has put a comment in there that these other teams that you talked about, Dan, and this is pointed to Trev for the minute, have a backbone of British players. Do you think that's what Arsenal are missing? And having Holden, Chambers, and possibly getting some of the young kids like Willock in the midfield, would that help build a new British backbone? Does it have to be a British backbone in an Arsenal squad?
Well, the last time we had a British backbone in the Arsenal squad, we won the league.
Thank you, Trev. Appreciate that.
Huh?
I said thank you, Trev. I appreciate that.
You were coming to me, didn't you not say?
No,
he said Trev.
You said Trev.
Oh, right. Go on, Trev.
Go on, Trev.
No, you carry on, Trev. It's all right.
Oh, mate, you're better looking than me, Trev. Go on. You're better looking, Trev, than me, mate. Go on.
That ain't difficult, in fairness, son. Listen, the one thing Arsenal's lacked is a backbone. It don't have to be a British backbone. For years, we've lacked a line of steel through the middle of our team. Yeah, we could talk about British players that have been tough, but we've also our best midfield in recent years was French, was Vieira and Petit. So it didn't have to be an English or British backbone. We just haven't bought the right players. Right, I agree with 99% of what Dan's just said. I really do. I was surprised he never passed out then because he didn't draw breath for 5 minutes, but you managed to get it out, Dan.
Used to it now, man.
Rich,
Rich,
do you have anything to add on this topic?
Well, all I really want to say was, I
have not finished yet.
I'll let you have the final word, Trev. Rich, go, and then you can have the final word after that.
All I was going to say was, which the players don't pick the team, do they? The players don't pick who comes and joins the club. It's up to the manager. If the manager didn't want that particular player, it's irrelevant what his mate thought, who plays for us. At the end of the day, he might not have fitted in, and players don't always work out other clubs today. I mean, we could have bought Ronaldo. He might not have been half the player he turned out to be. You just don't know. It's impossible to say. And the same with Alonso. As good as he looked, he might not have fitted in with the way that we played. It might not have worked out. We don't know. It could have done. But we can't allow players to dictate which other players we're going to buy. It's got to be down to the manager, and also, obviously, now at Arsenal, the people that sort out the transfers, Raul and whoever it is, they're doing, people like that. They've got to do it. You can't allow a player to say, I want my mate to come and join, because, you want to play with your mates, don't you? But this is that's not what it's about, is it? I mean, we don't know whether it work, do we? We don't know.
He's a brilliant player. You can't just... I know what you're saying. You don't want your mate around the corner.
Ozil's a brilliant player, but he hasn't really worked out properly for him at Arsenal, whereas if he'd gone somewhere else, he might have been a better player. And it's the same with lots of players as well. Looking through history, it's impossible to say how a player would have done in a different team, because that's something we'll never know. And all these players that we apparently missed out on over the years, Messi and whoever else it was, Yaya Toure and people like that, they may well have been brilliant, and we may have gone on to win the league 10 years in a row, but equally they might have been flops and not worked out. We just don't know, do we? So I don't think I don't really listen too much about what a player says. My mate wanted to come and play for Arsenal. Well, I don't care. It's what the club wanted, and it didn't happen. So it's irrelevant, really. To me, it's irrelevant. We don't know what would have happened if he had joined. So at the end of the day, we've won some trophies anyway as well. I know Dan was saying we haven't won anything, but we won the FA Cup 3 times. And what's Oxlade-Chamberlain won Champions League? Okay, it's the Champions League, but I mean, it's not like he's gone on to be a fantastic player since he left, as an example. In fact, he was probably a better player for us, if we're honest. He's just in a better team now, isn't he? That's it.
I disagree, but Trev, do you want to finish off your comments on there?
Well, I can't now because Richard said it all, hasn't he? Took the words out of my mouth. Joking aside, right? Richard's exactly right. Okay. These players that we've signed in recent years have not been good enough. 99% of them have not been good enough to play for Arsenal. And I've said this before some time ago, but you can't blame them players. If a big club like Arsenal comes knocking on your door, you're going to want to go and play for the Arsenal, right? And so Richard just hit the nail on the head. It's the people at Arsenal who recruit the players, and they're the same people that are responsible for Fabregas not coming. Now, I was as shocked as all of you when we turned Fabregas down, because we had first grabs, didn't we? And we turned him down. And what I thought to myself at the time, obviously someone at Arsenal knows something we don't, because if we're not having Fabregas, there's something going on. And then to rub salt in the wounds, Fabregas goes and plays for Chelsea and does a blinding job. The bloke's playing out of his skin, wasn't he? So I'll never work that out. But that's not Fabregas' fault. That's not anyone else's fault. That's whoever recruits the players into Arsenal's fault, right? And since David Dein went, we spoke about it the other night. Since David Dein went, we have never, ever had anyone recruiting good, decent players into Arsenal. I mean, we were putting sides out 3 or 4 seasons ago. I don't think we had a player over 5'10" and about 11 stone wet through, did we? That don't win your leagues week to week, right? That don't win your leagues week to week. Going back to where we started, you need that spine, you need that heart, and you need someone with some guts, and we've not had that. The only one, right, and I'm going to mention it, I don't normally mention players, the only one of the players over the recent years that I really got fed up with at the end of his career was Sanchez. right? Because Sanchez actually stopped playing. I went to watch us play away at West Brom a couple of seasons ago, and I watched Sanchez, and he sat himself out on the wing and hardly did a thing all game. And that really infuriated me because I thought to myself, I'm watching a really good player who's given up playing for the Arsenal. And I didn't like that. But all the other players, it's whoever buys them. You know, it's not their fault. It's not the players' fault. Right, I'm finished now. My rant's over.
Sorry, can I just ask Trev something? Okay, so you said all the players that we bought are just not good enough. Or was it maybe just sometimes the coaching staff or the manager might not have been good enough a few years back? I mean, I'm sorry, but we haven't got terrible players playing for Arsenal. And that's why I think Mikel Arteta needs time, and I think he'll get them playing.
Yeah, I agree. Let me chuck that one back at you, right? Let me chuck that one right back at you. Because I have this thing in my head and I laugh at myself for thinking about it, right? I laugh at myself because in the early years when Wenger was winning stuff, right? We had a certain type of player. We had a big player. We had a strong player. We had players that put their foot in tackles, and Wenger won everything, right? We were on top of the world, just missed out on the Champions League. But towards the end of his career, when we were playing badly, Wenger seemed, or whoever chose to buy the players, but Wenger must have had an input. You don't stay at a club 20-odd years not have an input. I'd say our team changed dramatically, right? We went small, we went light. And I honestly wonder in my head, was there some kind of experiment going on where we were thinking we can win a league with this type of player, and it backfired badly for years. And now we're starting to turn it around again. You know, and I just seen a comment come up as well. You know, what did go on with Sanchez? Because he's never started playing again since he left us, has he? He's not done a thing for anyone.
But Trev, you know, I'm not being funny. You've been going as long as probably a bit longer than me, but the main thing that comes out of Wenger in his last 10 years is the bloody defence. How many years were we screaming for a centre half? Don't tell me he didn't know that. He didn't see that. The last decent defender we had was Sol Campbell. You tell me what year he left. And then you tell me from then till now who's decent playing in our back four as good as Sol Campbell. Right. Crazy, so my point is this, you know,
have we not won the Golden Gloves a couple of times in recent years? Didn't Chesney win it? Didn't Cech win it? Our defence must have been okay.
Chesney, and Chesney was a bloody decent goalkeeper.
Yeah, no, he was okay. But I mean, if we've won the Golden Gloves, that means we've kept the most clean sheets in the league. How have we done that with such a terrible defence?
When did we win the Golden Glove?
I think we've won it twice. I mean, Chesney won it, and I think Cech won it as well in the last 5-6 years. They've both won it. It's playing for Arsenal.
We've won the Golden Glove in the last 5-6 years.
I'm sure we've won it twice. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I still dispute you, Richard, that we don't need a proper defender. I'm sorry, we need like 3 of them.
I'm not saying we don't, but our defensive record has been sometimes I think it's been given a bad light simply because we've had a few big beatings at times, the 6-0s and stuff like that. But you know, in between all that as well, I mean, you know, we've defended our defensive record has been generally okay over the, you know, certainly in the middle part of Wenger's kind of reign when people were starting to sort of turn against the team. I don't think the defence was actually that bad. Last year, the last couple of years. Yeah, I agree.
Richard.
Yeah, go on.
Richard, take the rose-tinted glasses off. Honestly, mate.
Man, we haven't replaced Sol Campbell and Patrick Vieira, Richard. You know it, man.
No, I think midfield's been the problem rather than the defences individually. I think we've seen how bad the individuals have.
Senderos, Sylvester, Mustafi, Socrates. How many?
Like a nightmare. I'd really like to know if someone can tell me what year we won the Golden Glove, because I don't remember that, Richard, if I'm honest.
I think 2016 was the last one. I think.
No, 2015, 2016 season.
Yeah, 2016, yeah. And I'm sure Chesney won it as well before that, maybe 2 years before that.
Sorry, I was just checking because the last time we won it before 2015, 2016 was 2013, 2014, where it was Cech and Chesney. That was it.
Yeah. So I mean, yeah, that's what I said twice. Yeah, I thought it was twice. Yeah.
Twice in
let me just
7 years.
We still need a defence.
Let me help you out here a bit, guys. 2017-18, right? We had 51 goals scored against us.
Nice.
That's the worst record. That's the worst record in the top 7. Right?
No,
hang on a minute.
Richard's defence is okay.
No, I mean, in last year's Wenger.
Oh, please, Richard, please don't defend Wenger for the defence. We could be here all night.
Wait a minute.
Well, we've just won 2 Golden Gloves in 3 seasons. That's not too bad.
Oh, my life.
Did we not?
Listen, 2016, 2017, we had 44 goals scored against us. That's the worst out of the top 7. 2015, 2016. Hang on a minute.
We won the Golden Glove that season, so whoever we let in, we got a lot of
We're all looking at our phones on the internet. Trev's got a book.
Move this on rather than a stat.
I didn't do anything. I just sat here and wait for someone to tell me.
Listen, I'll tell you why. You're gonna listen. I'm that much of an anorak, right? Because I've been stuck indoors. I've been sorting with thousands of programs out. I've got my book here, right, and it's got every game we've ever played since we were formed in it. So if you want any details, just ask me. I'll just flip to the page.
I love that, Trev. You might be my dad.
Our defense, I'm a sad twat, and you know what I mean? But that's what I do.
Man, they got rid of Ask Jeeves a few years ago, man. It's just Ask Trev now, isn't it?
Ask Jeeves. I remember Ask Jeeves.
Listen, there's one other topic I wanted to talk about. We done on this ambition.
Yeah. Richard realises we need a new defence. Yeah, that's it. We move on. Now.
Okay, we're all right in defence.
So I wasn't arguing against Richard there. I was just reading the pages out, and that's all. Rick, sorry if I upset them.
No. At the end of the day, we've won 2 Golden Gloves under Wenger, so that's fine.
The one other topic I wanted to discuss and very, very briefly discuss is Robbie Lyle from Arsenal Fans TV. He did a show last night, the night before last. I saw it last night, talking about racism within football. Myself and Mike and Dan, we've talked on WhatsApp and on the phone about it. We talked briefly beforehand, and I've been going to Arsenal from probably about 20 years, and I've personally never really witnessed anything, and if I would have said something. But Amanda, you spoke with Robbie earlier today, and he gave you a bit more insight into it. I'll leave it to you, and then to you after that, Mike.
Okay, so Robbie and I were WhatsApping because I'm a friend of his. I did some stuff on AFTV about 5 years ago, not all the interviews outside, but a little show with him. I know him pretty well. And I know he gets a lot of good press and a lot of bad press, whatever, I'm not here to defend anybody. You can watch AFTV if you want, or you don't. I don't actually watch it. So my point is this. I don't think anyone has a right to say there is no racism at Arsenal. You sit in one place in the ground, you go to one pub, you sit, and looking at us, we're not people of colour. Okay. I've been going since the mid-70s. I'm Jewish, and I've had anti-Semitism done against me since it came out on Twitter that I was Jewish. I think there's isms everywhere, and racism especially. And where I sat at Highbury, as I said before, I was approached by someone who wanted me to join the NF, and he never jumped up when anyone who was black scored a goal. So I've seen it. Not often, I have to say, and I did stop going to a lot of away games during the 80s, but I do feel that I really enjoyed the programme, and I felt for him and the other people he interviewed, and like you, Fergus, if I ever see anything, I'm straight there. So when I go to Tottenham away and I sit with all Arsenal, I have to tell everyone around me to stop saying the Y word, but you try and tell thousands of Arsenal fans to stop doing that. So all I want to say is, look, racism in any form, when he says kick it out of football, we should kick it out of life, let alone football. No-ism is allowed. I was one of only few girls that went to football in the 70s. I've never experienced sexism until probably about 5 years ago on social media. And I'm the sort of character that really doesn't give a toss. Okay. But there are other women out there that would. And I think it's hilarious when we would come to the sexism side, racism, all of it is all bollocks. It's all rubbish. Okay. We saw excerpts last night of Chelsea fans, what they did in France. We've seen that before. What we saw last night is a snippet of what goes on. Do I think Arsenal fans as a general are racist? I don't think so, no. And I don't think that's what he was saying if you watch it properly. I don't feel that as a club we are, for sure not, no. But there will be racists at Arsenal. Make no doubt about it. There will be. As I said, I met two in the 80s where I used to sit, and I was only, 17, 16 at the time, and I was shocked. And my dad said, be quiet, because, you know, you can't tell them we're Jewish. Honestly. So Robbie just wants to get the message out there to kick racism out of football. That's it. And look, everyone is entitled to their opinion. I just feel that I really enjoyed the program, and I was sad at many times.
I enjoy the program. I thought it had some really sickening bits in there. You talked about Chelsea. I was warmed by the action of the Newcastle fan towards the Asian fan.
Lovely, yeah.
There were some lovely bits in there. Some of the production and some of the style of it, I wasn't overly keen. But it's not what we're talking. We're talking about the content. Mike, me and you had a conversation yesterday on the phone about it. So you go on. I'll leave it to you.
Well, I go to a fair few away games with Arsenal. I don't tend to go to home games as much because obviously it's further away for me. But most of the away games are a lot closer, especially now Sheffield's there. It's even closer, so it's even better for me. But I think I've never heard anything personally. I've never really witnessed it. I've never heard anything, and that's just from me being in the stands. Other than that, I agree with Amanda. I'm sure there is somewhere in there. You know, there is going to be. It's just unfortunate there's going to be 2 or 3 individuals that will be. You know, maybe a couple more, maybe a couple less. But it's just. I don't know. I think a lot of it now is fed from social media. I think that's the main issue with everything now. And obviously, anyone can hide behind a picture. Anyone can just get an email address. It's so easy to do now, and you can hide behind anything. And I think that's the issue. But
yeah,
I don't think there is there's no way of stopping that. You know, with people making up fake profiles and this, that, and the other. There's no way to regulate something like that. It's just going to be too difficult to do something like that. So you're going to get it, unfortunately. But it's just it comes down to the individual, doesn't it? And it's just like give your head a wobble, sort yourself out. It's not 1980 or 1970 anymore. You know, we're in 2020 now, and it's like, come on, seriously.
Listen. Just before we carry on any further with this, looking at the chat, this isn't a thing about Robbie. This is a thing about the content of the program and what the program was about and what the message that he was trying to get across. So people putting in the chat in there about
said, Fergus.
Well said. Library, or people talking about who is mixing with who was in a pub with. He was in a pub with people from other organizations and other teams, and there's been stuff with people over the years, but that's not what we're talking. We're not talking about Robbie. We're not talking about AFTV. We're talking about the topic that he was trying to challenge. Trev, you would have been back a long time back in the day. You would have been there. Briefly, give me your outlook, what you thought of the program, what you saw of the program, and then we'll finish off with Dan, and then we'll wind this up.
Right, as you know, Fergus, right, I was a bit loath to get involved in this conversation, right, because I don't want to be interpreted the wrong way, right? But since you ask, I don't watch Arsenal Fan TV, not because I don't like Robbie, because I just don't like the format. I don't like watching that, right? There was racism at Highbury in the 70s. Amanda is exactly right. There was racism at Highbury in the 70s. But all the people that knew about that racism chased it away. Now, there would be racism that we didn't know about, right? But that was chased away. And I can categorically tell you that was chased away because I was one of the buggers doing the chasing, all right? No jokes, no puns intended, right? I came out of Arsenal Station and was offered a flyer by the National Front, and I threatened to ram it down the tosser's neck, all right? So the one thing, and I'm wrong to do this, I know, but this is an old man's head, right? You've asked me now, so I'm going to say it, right? I understand what Robbie is. I've not watched the program, but I understand the context and I understand the racism in football. My God, it was awful, right? At times at other grounds. But I honestly fought it at Arsenal, and I know 99% of the people I know fought it at Arsenal. And just by the fact that I would have just loved it if Robbie would have said, I'm an Arsenal fan, but this doesn't apply to Arsenal. And I don't know if he did because I've not watched it. I would have liked for him to specify that this was football he was talking about.
He did say that, Trev. He said racism in football. He's just an Arsenal fan and it was focused around Arsenal, but people are taking it the wrong way. As far as I can see, I watched it. I would have told him straight. He knows that because he sent me the link to even watch it because he knows he's going to get the opinion off me. And I didn't understand what all the furor was about, what I'd seen on Twitter, because I was like, he's talking about racism in football. End of. That's it.
Amanda, it was completely different to what I was expecting.
Yeah.
The foray on social media and the negativity around the program itself is purely the negativity about people's attitude to AFTV, and that's again what we're not trying to cover on here. I think an awful lot, as I said, I wasn't there in the 70s and 80s. I can only see what I witnessed and said. I have not witnessed. I've seen it in society, but I haven't seen it at Arsenal Football Club. And I see the majority of the isms you talk about, whether it's racism, sexism, whatever, is by keyboard warriors. People who are sitting here on their keyboards and nobody's going to clump them in the face and they're not going to have to answer to anybody. Potsy and Rich, your final words on this.
Well, mine's going to be very, very quick. I echo everything that Amanda says, and I also echo everything that Fergus has said. This hatred on social media is because people have a hatred towards AFTV and Robbie. If you have a hatred towards AFTV and Robbie, do not watch them. I don't like Coronation Street. I don't watch it. I don't slate it. I just don't watch it. So don't go watching it. If you don't like something, don't watch it. That's all I've got to say. Go on, Rich.
I mean, I started going in the sort of 80s football, and there was quite a lot of racism issues, not necessarily at Arsenal, but in general, a lot of the players in particular would have suffered quite a lot. And, but I never really noticed it. I mean, there was a lot of Arsenal's always had a big kind of black following anyway, and that's never been an issue at Arsenal. But I think that the problem is, I agree that it's a lot of hatred on Robbie and what he's done in terms of dragging Arsenal through the mire quite a lot anyway, and sort of profiting from that. So I think a lot of negativities from that. And also as well, a lot of the things he pointed out in terms of racism now is social media racism. It's online racism, which I'm not saying it's not a problem, because it is, but it's a totally different issue to when people, like you were saying, Amanda, when you was in the ground, people approaching you with stuff like that, with actual, probably black fans would have encountered it as well, sort of face to face. That's a different issue, really. And I think that program for me seemed to confuse the two things as though they're the same. And racism is racism at the end of the day, but face-to-face racism and something written on a keyboard isn't the same. And it needs to be kind of looked at in a different way, maybe. And, I mean, I don't know how long Robbie's been going to Arsenal. I don't know. But I know from my own experiences, I used to go with quite a few kind of black guys as well, and I never noticed Arsenal having a problem. There were a problem at away games. Chelsea was bad, a few other clubs as well, but I never ever noticed it at Arsenal. I would never have said, "Oh, Arsenal have got a racism problem," and that was what seemed to come out of that program a little bit. The fact that he didn't want to take his dad to Arsenal, he was worried about going to Arsenal in the olden days, and wherever it was, for racism problems. And I never personally have ever experienced that at Arsenal. I've experienced it at other grounds.
Richard, he didn't say he didn't want to take his dad to the Arsenal. He said his dad didn't want to go to the Arsenal. Very different context.
No, okay,
his dad didn't want to go.
Fair enough. Yeah.
And also,
rather than he didn't want to take it. Hang on, Amanda. One second. He stood outside with tears in his eyes. You can say they're crocodile tears or whatever. I don't. Where I think they were, he thought that he could he won't be able to go to football with his dad, age 93, who also shares a birthday with me and Kevin Campbell, by the way. Because on his 90th birthday, I was standing beside Robbie at Chelsea when all the Wenger out things. Listen, I'm going to close this down. Go on, Amanda. One last.
I was just going to say, I did speak to Kevin about this last night, because obviously you'd know Kevin's view, but I would like to say, Richard, as I said at the beginning, none of us are people of colour, so we wouldn't experience racism directed to us. So all I'm saying is that at the end of the day, it is not, and I'm assuming none of you are Jewish, so you wouldn't get what I get, and I'm not a man, so I wouldn't get what you get. All I'm saying is, these keyboard warriors, he did sort of differentiate. He was just showing us on social media, wasn't he? What he gets. And what I would say to everybody is, A, grow up. B, pathetic, kick it out of life completely. And I've always said this, I don't care what colour, size, age, whoever you are, if you're a dickhead, you're a dickhead, and I won't talk to you. That's how I view life, yeah? And I would like to say one other thing on this subject. They were genuine tears, Fergus. Remember, I know Robbie, and there is nothing ungenuine about him. Whether you like his work or not, as Dan said, turn it off. I really don't like Emmerdale. I would not sit here and go on about Emmerdale for the rest of my life. I just don't watch it. I don't watch AFTV. Amanda, you have a choice. Sorry, I'm ranting. I haven't ranted for a while.
No. Amanda, you are right. I only say crocodile tears just in case anybody else in the comments say something.
It wasn't. No, it wasn't.
The only reason. Listen, let's finish this with one man that we need to remember. 19 years ago yesterday, a black man, a hero at the Arsenal, David Rocky Rocastle. Oh. He said, "Remember who you are and remember who you represent." That's all that matters, people. Thank you very much, everybody, for joining in. Thank you for the people in the chat. Stay home, stay safe. Look after your families, and up the Arsenal.
Up the Arsenal.
Stay safe, everyone.
Yeah, stay safe.